how we expected to remain profitable.
Between Pauline Hanson and the Liberal and National parties is this debate about, well, wages are too high, but we don't want more migrants.
Government are not wealth creators, they're wealth takers, okay?
It's imaginary.
It's not imaginary.
It is, it's imaginary.
Hello, I'm Paul Starrick, the Advertiser's editor-at-large. We're here today to debut the People's Cabinet for the South Australian state election on March 21. We're here to talk about real issues with real people. Our guests today are the South Australian Treasurer, Tom Koutsantonis, his shadow, Ben Hood, and Pony and Coal cafe owner, Nicolle Hahn.
Basically, I've been in Hindmarsh owning Pony and Coal for around about 9 years. In the last, say, 2.5 to 3 years, we've watched a dramatically lowering of our profit through doing cost of business in the state at the moment. So how does the government expect small venues to absorb such large increases, especially the electricity, gas, fuel and utility and freight costs? How we expected to remain profitable under those conditions?
It's a tough scenario because South Australia is not immune to global shocks. What we can do is to make sure that people's wages are high enough to be able to withstand that. The place is still vibrant and that there's a visitor economy that's going to be able to offset some of those costs and keep your business growing. But state politicians telling you that I can hold back the tide and change all that, I think South Australians are past that.
Tom is right in that when you have these global shocks and those types of things, politicians shouldn't be saying that they really materially have something to do about it. But we've got certain levers in this state that we can pull, which can give benefit to small businesses. Now that's things like payroll tax. Of course, on power prices, we know that they've risen some 43% over these last 4 years. We need to ensure that we're not chasing ideology at the sake of business.
I would always caution people about politicians who promise tax cuts. Because if you take from here, right, and you create a deficit, you've got to raise it somewhere else.
Of course.
We took to the election a policy last election of not increasing taxes and not cutting taxes, and we've done that. And I think we'll do that again.
Will you do that again?
Well, the Premier's going to make an announcement.
It's not just a case of taking it from somewhere else. This is about efficiency, and this is about productivity.
I get the fact that you can't take away from one and get to the other, but I sit there and go, I pay BAS to the ATO, I pay GST, and I also do single touch payroll. So single touch payroll will tell you how many employees I have in the building, how many employees I have on the books. And I just sit there and just go, the ATO does have mechanisms that they know exactly what's going on in regards to how much tax I have to pay. So I'm going like, with things like return to work, why wouldn't it be just indexed on, once again, how many employees I have on the book? What is the government doing for productivity in this state?
I can assure you of this. If there was a magic solution to red tape, someone would have thought of it by now. My view is talking about tax as some sort of panacea to all businesses' problems doesn't work, because governments, when they cut taxes in one area, simply just raise it somewhere else. Politicians promising you that I can lower your costs by cutting imaginary red tape.
That we have to do it all. They are the levers that we have to do it. You can talk about a vibrant economy.
It's imaginary.
It's not imaginary.
It is. It's imaginary. You're proposing massive spending
right here. We're not proposing massive spending. That is your glossy document which you've spent way too much time on when you should be actually doing your job.
Which number in here is wrong? Give me one that's wrong.
I'm not even going to entertain it because it is rather fanciful.
Can I ask you, Nick? Cost of living is clearly impacting on your customers, and
Correct.
It's a defining issue of this election. What do you think these guys could do to arrest that for your business and others like yours?
We all understand that people need to get paid what they need to get paid, right? Payroll tax, can't we index it in regards to, say, wages hike instead of just a flat rate of up to 4.87%?
We're basically at full employment.
Yeah.
Unemployment's at 3.7%, so there's a contest for labour, which means wages are higher.
Correct.
We're currently having a debate about migration, right? Where we've got a race to the bottom from some political parties that are saying Australia is full, we don't want any more skilled migrants. And we're the only party who is saying we need more migration. Migration is the answer to stabilising wages. All the things you're talking about housing costs, fuel costs, cost of living, are basically about the fact that this country is now having a debate about whether we are too big. And I think that debate is hurting our economy. But unfortunately for us, the debate that's occurring on the right of politics between Pauline Hanson and the Liberal and National parties is this debate about, well, wages are too high, but we don't want more migrants. Well, the only way you solve that is by having a targeted skilled migration program.
That's the point there, targeted. It must be targeted. We must be bringing in the skills that we need, not just here in South Australia, but around the nation.
Thank you all for your time. That's the first in a series of Advertiser People's Cabinet. We've got to follow health, education, transport, and both leaders.